In this video, we will show you how to build a form from scratch and insert that form onto a page within your website. BizForms can be used for a form that you use at the club, such as a membership inquiry or a contact us. BizForms allows the user to submit the form directly on your website, and the data will be available to you in the back end of the website. The Biz form you see here is the form that we will be creating today. In order to create a Biz form, we must first log into the website. So just locate your member login button and enter in your administrator credentials. Now that we're logged in, you're going to click on your name and switch to Club Central. Then once in your dashboard, locate that BizForms application square. Now if you don't see the BizForms application square here, don't worry. On the top left hand side of the screen, you're going to click on this little globe icon to open your application list. Then under Content Management, you will find BizForms. Okay? If not, you can always search for it in your search bar as well. So let's go ahead and go into BizForms. Most important thing you want to note first time you do create a Biz form is this attention notice. Okay, so it's just letting us know that collecting sensitive information by way of Biz forms is strictly prohibited. If found, the forms and corresponding data will be deleted immediately without warning. Sensitive information includes, but is not limited to, credit card information, social security numbers, social insurance numbers, and driver's license numbers. To create your form, you're going to look for that New Form button. And go ahead and enter the name of your form. So remember, for today, we're making our membership inquiry. Once you've got your name in there, go ahead and click Save. The first place you are now going to be taken to is the Form Builder. On the left-hand side, you will see the components. And these are what are used to actually build the form. Basically, the main elements that construct your form. In the middle section, this is where we actually drag those components to create the form. Then on the right-hand side, you'll see shortly, this is where we'll see the properties of each component, which will include additional fields that we can modify and configure the settings of for each one of those components, including the name of the component, any requirements, description, choices, etc. Just note that changes are saved automatically as you go along, and you'll see there is no save button on this screen. To view the description of a component, simply hover your mouse over and it will provide that description for you. As mentioned earlier, in order to put a component into your form, you're just going to click and drag. So for the text box, this provides a single line field for entering text. And remember, on the right hand side I said we would see those properties. The first one you see is the label. So this is the actual label that will show here for what the field component should be saying. So for example, this one we're going to put name. Then you have the required option. If you check this box, it means that whoever is answering this form does have to complete this field in order to submit their form. Next is your default value. Anything you enter here will show up inside the field. So for example, maybe we want to put an example. Then you have your explanation text. This text will appear underneath that field, and it gives that user a few more details about that component. So let's put first and last name. And lastly, you have your tooltip. This is text that will show when you hover over that component. So let's put, please enter your full name. Then when we hover over that component, that will provide us with that tooltip. Note that as you go along and add your components, each field may be different depending on what type of properties it has and what function it plays within the form. Next, let's add in a multiple choice question. The multiple choice component allows you to specify multiple selectable values in the form of checkboxes. So let's click and drag, and just make sure you're dragging to where you have that dotted line box. So remember, the properties you do see for a component depend on what values you can enter for them. If you mark this question as required and you decide you no longer want it and you do want to remove it from your form, make sure you come back and uncheck that required box, otherwise you will get an error within the form. So when a user does try to submit that form, it will almost be as if that question is there, but it's invisible and will not allow your users to submit that form. If you do want to delete a question, again, we've unchecked that required, and you're just going to click on that little trash can. Okay. Here's your notice about making sure you unmark that question as required, and let's click OK. Just note any question you delete from your form must also be deleted within the field section. Now let's go ahead and build the rest of our form. For my next option, I'm going to use the US phone number. This provides fields for entering a phone number in US format. Note that you can also use the text box as well if you don't have the US format style. So I'm going to click on my component, and we're just going to change this to read phone number. This one I would also like to mark as required. Next, let's use email. So this provides a field for entering one or multiple emails. I'm happy with that label, so we're going to go ahead and leave that as is, but let's also mark that as required. Next, I'm going to utilize the radio buttons. This allows specifying multiple values in the form of selectable buttons. For this one, we're going to put preferred method of contact. For those options, like you saw with the multiple choice question, okay, we can simply type in our answer. So my first one, I'm going to put phone, and my second one, let's put email. You do have the ability to add more options, or if you don't need an option that already exists, just click that trash can. Next, I'm going to do a drop-down list. This enables entering a list of values for the user to choose from in a drop-down list view. For this label, we're going to go ahead and put membership type. And let's fill in those options. And we're going to add one more additional option in there. Now, this one I don't need as required, but I'm actually going to set that preferred method of contact as required. And one more additional question I want to put in there is the text area. This is the most common option because it does provide a field of adjustable size for entering text. as you see here. For my label, I'm going to call this one comments and questions. If you like, you can set up a validation. This is to ensure that the data that is entered into a field is valid. And this can be used for components such as email addresses. So let's select our email, and you're going to click on validation. And just add in that validation role. For the role, we're going to select email, and then you can go ahead and put in your error message. This rule will basically make sure that any email entered into this field is in the correct standard email format. So for our error message, we can put, please enter a valid email address. Once you've set that rule, just click apply. So we now have that validation for our email component. Note that if a component is marked as required, the validation will automatically say please enter a value if left blank upon submission. Now that we've built our form, we're going to go ahead and click on this little 3 ellipses on the left hand side. So remember, I said we're in our form builder right now. Okay. Next, we're going to go into general. This is where you can come in and adjust the display name of the form if you need to. And we're going to set up what we want to happen after the form has been submitted. Now we don't want to leave this on continue editing, because what that does is when the user submits their form, it's going to look as if their information is still there and they might be confused if their form was submitted or not submitted. Your best options are either to use this redirect to URL, which all you have to do is get that URL for the page. Maybe it's another page within your website or a thank you page. As soon as that user submits the form, they will be redirected to that page. The option we're going to use today is the display text. And this text will appear as soon as that user clicks the submit button. So let's put, thank you for submitting a membership inquiry. Most importantly, any changes you make you click that save button. Now that we've created our form and set up those general settings, we can go ahead and put that form within a page on our website. In order to do that, we're going to click the house icon to navigate back to our dashboard. Then we're going to go into our Pages application square. Then simply find the page where you want to include that form. For us, we're going to go to our membership page. And under membership, we're going to put it on our membership inquiry page. If you like, you can definitely include some text or images, hyperlinks, whatever you want within the page itself. So let's put the title. I want to give that a heading 1 and some subtext. Now, in order to insert that form, you're going to place the cursor where you want the form to appear. And on the content editor, you're going to look for the little BizForm icon where it says Insert Form. Go ahead and click Select and find that form that you want to insert on this page. That's all you have to do here, and we can save and close. When you have inserted your form, you will see a little gear icon, and that's letting you know you have a BizForm on the page. Let's make sure we save those changes. Now, in order to actually view that form, you just need to switch to preview mode. And there's that form we just created. Once you're satisfied with that page, make sure you do publish. Now that we've published our form, let's go ahead and see what that looks like on our live site and also submit an example. So let's go to our live site. And I know this page is connected by clicking on my membership inquiry. And here's the form we created. Let's go ahead and enter in a submission. We'll start with our name, then phone number, email address, preferred method of contact. So this was a radio button that allowed us to choose one option. And then for membership type, we did this as a drop-down, so I can go ahead and select my membership type. And comments and questions within the text area that allows you to expand that. However, because we didn't mark this as required, and maybe I just don't have any comments or questions to leave in here, I can leave this one blank. Once I've entered all those fields, we'll click Submit. And there's our thank you for submitting a membership inquiry that we filled out in the General tab.